ladies, welcome back to another video. I am so excited about today's video. It is so long overdue and it is so highly anticipated by so many of you. Ever since I have been out on social media, blogging, doing YouTube, you name it, I have been overwhelmed with questions about my hair. What is your color? What is your style? How do you get away with dirty hair? How do you create the volume that you do? Well, I'm doing a two-part series, so this intro will be in both of the series that I do, and the exit will be as well. We went out to Laurie Salon. Let me just share a little history about Laurie Salon and Laurie herself. So I started going to Laurie 24 years ago this month, October 1993. I know this because the first time I ever went to Laurie was when my oldest daughter, Kirsten, was 2 months old. I knew about Laurie because when I was younger, my mom used to go to Laurie. So I've known Laurie, I feel like my whole life, I really do. Laurie was working at Hudson's. I know I'm dating myself. I know some of you are shaking your head. Remember the green? That was like their logo. It was like a dark hunter green. Yes, Hudson, I know. The younger generation don't know what we're talking about. When I first started going to Laurie, she was at Hudson's, then it turned into Marshall Fields, and then she moved on to a really nice salon in the county that I live in. From there, she decided to go out on her own and open her own salon that was attached to her home. So her salon is not in her home, it is attached to her home, which I think is a really lovely feature because it kind of separates the two, but she has the luxury of not having to pay some high ticket rent, which is what she basically was stuck with when she was working at one of the local salons in our county. I have loved the fact that she has worked outside from her home because you're not dealing with other people. She's the only person in her salon, so you can go there looking however you want. I remember taking my children when they were babies even to go out to Laurie's because I didn't have to worry about interrupting anybody else, so it has been great. The biggest gift you can give yourself when it comes to your hair is finding someone that you can get comfortable with, someone who you can trust, and someone who wants to see you get the results that you want and will tell you whether they feel like something is going to compliment you or not. So I just got back from Laurie Salon. We got a beautiful fresh cut. I didn't do anything different with this cut. It's the same cut that I always have. It may look a little shorter as our hair generally does when we first get it cut. I basically just did a trim. We did a touch up on color, and then we also did a little balayage, which I don't do every time I go, but I like to have a little bit of dimension in my hair. I also feel that as I age, I like to have some softness, especially framing the face, and that is the beauty of incorporating balayage with my color. I have naturally very dark hair, but I have a lot of gray, and we are going to talk about that in today's video. So it's a two-part series. We're going to tackle the color, then we're going to tackle the cut. I'm doing the same intro and the same exit for both videos because I wanted you to be able to see the finished project along with this. I didn't want to do an intro and an exit with my hair how I styled it. I wanted it to be fresh from the salon. So you're looking at it. I literally just walked in to the house and this is what we are dealing with. The other beauty is I always like how Laurie styles my hair, and the other beauty is I'll get 4 days out of this, as you know I do. So let's head out there. Let's see, let's backtrack or whatever you want to call it. Let's tackle the color, the cut, the style. I presented her with so many questions that I received from you. I thank you so much. I am so grateful for your contribution, and I am so grateful that we are all here to help one another. It just brings me so much pleasure that I have such a community of women that are trying to help one another out to make us brighter, more beautiful, not only on the outside but on the inside as well. So let's take a look. Good morning, ladies. We are now at Laurie Salon, so welcome to the salon. I do want to share a couple things with you before I go and get my little cape on so that we can get started. I always come in for my hair coloring, cut, and style with clean, dry hair. So my hair is completely clean and blow dried. I've also shared before that I use an anti-residue shampoo on my hair on color, cut, and style days. The one that I use is by Neutrogena. It's Neutrogena Shampoo Anti-Residue Formula. You can get this at your local drugstore. You can get it at your grocery store. It's normally on the very bottom shelf. Some people have shared with me that it is very hard to find. It's there, I promise you. It's usually on the lowest shelf, and it only costs maybe $4 or $5. It's dirt cheap. I can't say it smells the greatest, and I know there are high-end anti-residue shampoos, and we can talk to Laurie a little bit more about, is it important to come in with clean, dry hair? Does any of that matter? I'm not really sure. I just know that I like to, and there is something about using an anti-residue shampoo where I feel like I have absolutely no product buildup. I mean, it doesn't get any more virgin hair, I feel like, than this. So I've had great results with that, and I feel like my hair colors very well. So I just want to share that. I'm gonna go get my cape on, and then we'll get started. I have got my cape on. Laurie is over here. She is mixing up my color. We are getting ready to get started. This is the color that she will be using. It is by Joico, and it is the Age Defy, and we will talk more about why she uses the Age Defy and how she feels about the Joico color.
I'm adding a lot of color because Tracy has a lot of hair.
So Laurie is adding a lot of color because I have a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair and thick hair, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Plus we're going to be, we don't always pull it through our ends, but this time we're going to, we will be diluting it and then pulling it through the ends because we're going to be doing some balayage today. So we want full uniform color to start out with. So, and mix it all up so it's all nice and
wonderful. So Laurie, I know that you have been impressed with the Joico line because you have used other lines. I just remember you using something else on me, and you've been using the Joico for a bit, and you've been very happy with it.
I love Joico. I use, predominantly use L'Oreal, the Majorelle line for probably 30 years. And this Joico came up, and it's been around for a long time, but I just tried to experiment with it, and I love it seems like it maintains integrity of the hair, gives shine, the gray coverage, and also there is a color with that it cuts out the brassiness, the red that I've never been able to find in any other color line so far anyways.
Okay,
so.
And I know for myself I have struggled with brassiness, and I feel like I don't notice it as much anymore. Right,
and then of course we went with Age Defy because Tracy has a few gray hairs, and so we're trying, and gray is more resistant, so this, it does process a little bit longer, and but it leaves the hair in beautiful shape, nice and shiny.
Okay, now would you say that there are different levels of gray? Are some grays more difficult to color and some are easier to work with, or is gray just difficult in general?
I think it's the texture of the hair actually that changes how challenging the gray is to cover. But one of the nice things to do, and we're not doing the balayage for this purpose with Tracy because her hair does cover really nicely, but doing the gray coverage is great. But sometimes when the new growth comes out, there's this line of demarcation, that ugly line that nobody likes to see. Well, if you throw in a few balayage on the top, it breaks it up, it draws your eye to the lighter colors, and it takes it away from the lighter ones that are going to start poking out in 2 or 3 weeks. So.
Wonderful. Yeah, I totally agree. That's awesome. Yeah. So again, she's using all of the Joico products here. Those are the developers, and again, here is the product. I get asked all the time, what color is my hair? Well, I always want to say brown. I'm a brunette. I don't know how to answer this. I don't know. Is that really a good question for women to ask? Because if I were to tell somebody the exact shade you are using on me, that's not a guarantee that their hair is going to come out the color of mine. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely. Depending on texture, porosity of the hair, and the best thing is wherever you go to get your hair done, if it's a first visit, make sure that they have booked off extra time for a good consultation. They should be pulling out a color chart to see what your natural color is. Tracy's about a natural 6. She's a 6 level. She's a beautiful brunette, so that's where we go with it, with brunette. And everybody likes to play around with color, and I love color. But sometimes especially as we mature, when we deviate too far from it, it's not as always as flattering to our skin tones, and that would be more in Tracy's field of expertise. But I know this for sure, that if you stay close to what you were originally given, then your things are going to look happier together. So that's why I picked that color for Tracy.
So ladies, I pulled up my Instagram and Facebook questions that you guys have been sending to me ever since I did that post, and I decided to go through and see, is there anything that I can't answer that Laurie could answer? And I have a great question here, so we're going to tackle it. This person says, with coloring your hair every 5 weeks or so, do you find you have any hair loss? This person says, after I color my hair, I feel like I lose a lot of mine. So Laurie, okay, first of all, I've never noticed that I've had any hair loss. So what would you have to say about that?
Well, I would ask first, are you having your hair colored in the salon, or are you doing it at home? And what would lead you to believe that you have more loss during or after the color process than normally, everyday hair loss? What happens often is when people become concerned about hair loss through chemical treatments, is their stylist actually points that out, that there's a lot of loss. I would do that with someone. I would say, hey, you know, it seems to be a lot of hair in the bowl. There's 3 things that usually I will ask, and maybe send them to the doctor, and often it's one of those 3 things. One is thyroid. Often people, they're on thyroid medication, but it's a little off, and I know we're not doctors, we're just hairstylists, but your health issues show up through in your hair and nails first. So the other would be heart medication, if you're on some type of heart medication, and it might need to be adjusted in, as well as hormonal. So without knowing if she was coloring her hair in the salon or at home, I would have no way to answer that, you know, but that would be one way to look at it. So.
Yeah, that's a great question. What would you have to say about thinning hair? I do have some women talk to me about their hair thinning, or the fact that they just have thin hair in general. And I know, Laurie, don't you have pretty thin hair, or it is thinning?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I have thinner hair, but it has some natural curl to it, so it gives the illusion that I have more hair, but I really don't. And it has gotten thinner, and my mom's hair has gotten thinner. She's gotten older, and but a lot of that plays into hormones as we age. Sorry, ladies, but this is something that happens. But some people don't.
Yeah.
Tracy, but
let's hope.
Tracy's right, but it does get thinner. There are some things, really good healthy diet, and lots of water and
biotin.
Sorry, a lot of people say,
I don't know. I don't know
about that either. Biotin, but there is things. I know that it all starts from within. So that being said, if your hair is thinning, again, we talked about, you know, losing hair during hair coloring. Maybe there's something going on with your diet, with your health, that your hair is thinning as well. That is definitely one of the first places to look. But sometimes it's just an aging thing. So if that happens, there's a few things, products out there. I know that Bosley has a product. It's a topical solution, but you have to, some of these solutions, there's many different brands, you have to put on your scalp every single day. I've seen people have great success with that, but they get tired of doing that every day. But
it's maintenance.
It's just maintenance. We brush our teeth every day. We wash our face every day. So the other thing is that I was telling Tracy about is there's this product here, Bosley. It's a like little fibers, and if you open it up and if you sprinkle it on, Tracy, you can see there's like little fibers that come out.
Oh, wow.
And there's different colors, and there's light brown, there's gray actually, so you'd be thinking, why
do you like to wear gray? Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have, like elderly people have pinker scalps.
Right.
So but if your hair is thinner, I use it almost every day. Or if I'm growing out and my roots are starting to show, this will mask that too, ladies. So if your highlights are just things just start looking really pretty in the root area, and you want to try to mask that, you can use a product like this. Sprinkle it on. They do have a product you can spray. They say it seals it. I just typically use regular hairspray. It doesn't come off in the rain, so if you're
there, you go. You're not going to have it dripping down.
Right.
I will link that product below so that you can find it there. So yeah, definitely that is a wonderful thing, because especially with thinning hair, I think even like your part line, you know, that's easy to see, so you could sprinkle it right in your part line and you won't see that as much.
But also zigzag your part.
I think so too.
That helps with your with color, you know, new growth. But but also with it just creates the lift. And if you have a distinctive part, often we get stuck on that part, but sometimes switch it over. And that will give you some more lift in the area, but also don't part your hair so dramatic. You know, distribute the hair more evenly. Maybe not a center part.
Again, that's a softer look.
It's a softer look, but not everybody can carry off a center look. Center part.
No.
Well, Tracy's got a longer face, so a center part's not going to work for her. But if you have a little bit rounder face, a center part you could probably pull off.
Right.
But if you're breaking the part up a little bit, it will distribute the hair more so through the top area. So we give the illusion that there's more hair. So what do we care? It's an illusion, but that's
well,
what we see.
a lot of things. Our clothing creates illusion. There's so many things that are illusion. Again, you're working with what you were naturally given, and then you're just, you know, creating the look that you want through this illusion. Yeah.
Tracy was talking about when she would come in the salon, sometimes she would bring a file. And it would be before phones were really handy to come in and show all through the Pinterest saves or whatever. She would bring a file and just cut up pictures and bring them all in and say, okay, what works? Can this work with my hair? Because Tracy's always been very realistic about what she has, but she actually has really great hair, so she doesn't have as many limitations as most of us do. However, be aware of, you know, that, because if you pick this picture that, you know, if you take Tracy's picture and your hair's like mine, if I were to go into a hairdresser and say, make my hair like Tracy's, not in a million years. It's not going to happen. I don't have the kind of hair she has. So be realistic when you pick your selection, or ask them to help you. Say, is this attainable?
Right, exactly. I completely agree. That is something that I do have to share. I mean, people wonder all the time, how do I get away with going so many days in between washing? When, like, you have Laurie here, who pretty much has to wash her hair every single day. Again, she has thin hair. I have very thick hair. And it's not, I don't get a greasy scalp. There's that. But a lot of it, I think, is the condition of your hair, and what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for someone else. There's nothing wrong with it if you have to wash your hair every single day. If you have to, you have to. You work with what you've got.
But remember, Tracy, as we get older, we have less oil, and so that helps too. I know I keep referencing older, but there are some good things about getting older.
That's right.
So
so just embrace what you have. How many times are we going to say that? But it really is the truth. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have one saying, and I think it applies to color, makeup, clothing especially. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I love that. Hey folks, now we are at the sink here, so Laurie will share what she is doing. I actually have a little band that I put around me if I do have makeup on, that just helps to keep me from, you know, smudging my makeup, because it can get pretty bad if I don't. So Laurie, what are you doing here right now?
I just diluted the product down because it doesn't need to be as strong just to go through the ends, because it just needs to deposit color. So, and I'm just running it through the ends just so we can get, as we said, more uniform color.
So now we are starting the balayage process. Laurie, to explain why we are doing this with my hair and my hair color, and how often we do this and why. And
this is just to lighten things up. Like we said, we talked about it's fun just to have it not a monotone color. That's nice. It's fun.
I like the dimension. I like a little bit going on.
Right. Also, as we talked about, like if we warm up around the face, again, I kept referring to aging people, but we would put a little bit, well, because as we talked about wanting your hair to be darker, Tracy's color is dark, you know, right now, but once we soften it with a little bit of lightness, then it adds warmth to her face. It's pretty, and she can pull it off, but it's going to look even prettier the way that, you know, we're going to go ahead and put some balayage in here. I use the Joico, this right here, a free play clay. I like using it because it stays dry on here. It doesn't travel, doesn't bleed onto the other things. So we're just using a brush for the balayage technique, and Tracy and I just got done talking about everyone has different techniques. So just because I'm doing this to Tracy doesn't mean your stylist will use the same products or even do the same technique to accomplish what you need. So don't think it has to be exactly the same in order to get the same results. So I would really not like people holding me to that. Now you see we feathered it in here, like a few sections, and at the ends we're going to pull this through so that we have a little bit more blonde, pretty and lighter, not blonde, but on the ends. So, but this is wonderful product. Love, love, love this product.
You've been very happy with the Joico line. Yeah. And I've actually had a couple other hairstylists that I know that watch my snaps and follow me on social media tell me they love using the Joico line as well.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice product. So we're just going to work our way around Casey's head. Just keep working around, and then we'll do a couple sections like that, and then we'll when we get closer to the top, we'll do a little bit heavier. So we want to see it underneath, and we need to get underneath there, but we still want depth. So this is just another dimension. It's certainly not anything that should stand out like big, bold, streaky. And that's why, if you can see, we're just, there's like, I'm doing about 3 strands at the top, and then I just pinch it together and do the whole thing. So then you'll get more, otherwise you don't usually see it on the ends if you don't do that, so.
I like what you're kind of saying, and when I'm listening, I'm thinking about like when we do chunky highlights or chunky coloring versus more blended. Again, we are focusing a lot on aging. When you're younger, I think you really can, again, get away with anything. If you want to do chunky, bold highlights and you want to do this and that, go for it. Go for it when you're young, because again, you've got this beautiful, beautiful, youthful face. You've got so many other things going for you, but as you get older, nothing drastic is ever really going to flatter us the best. So always think if chunky is drastic, it's probably not going to be the most flattering. Nobody's saying you can't do it if that's what you want to do, because we do get to, we get to do whatever we want with our own hair, with our own skin, with
Wear purple and pink if you want to.
That's right. Do whatever you want. But if you are looking for what is going to look the most appealing to the eye of somebody else, it's usually going to be something that's more subtle and not as drastic. So if it's drastic, just remember it's going to be more noticeable.
Right.
Don't forget, ladies, if you watched my Christmas planning video, The Look, we talked about, because we are planning ahead so we can celebrate later, and you guys are probably going to be so over me saying that, because I say in every one of my videos, don't forget, if you are going to want a nice color or do some balayage or play with your color, do something special for the holidays, get it scheduled now. It's very important to get that. Would you say the holiday seasons pick up for getting stuff done?
Absolutely, yes. I usually do twice the business in December, Christmas, that I do the rest of the year. It's insane. And so, especially if you have a restricted schedule, you're going to definitely want to get on the books. And then so
your evening appointments, your Saturday appointments, those are going to book up really fast. I mean, I'm telling you, schedule today. You'll be glad you did, because you've got to remember that your hairstylist is pulling extra weight during the holiday season, but they have their own things to do. So you can't expect them to free up more time for people that didn't get their appointments in. It's your responsibility, not theirs, to get your appointment made.
Preach
it, yes. Yes, we really do have to get to where we respect other people's time. It's a big problem, it really is. You have to respect other people's time.
And another thing is that you've got holiday parties, so you don't want it just for thinking about Christmas, but what's coming up. And I like people to go ahead and schedule, a couple months out. To start it in September, so that we could land in a good place in December for so that we look perfect for the holidays.
It really is. It's pre-planning it out. Yes, definitely. I have always, again, I've been going to Laurie for 24 years, I have always scheduled my hair appointment for the next one while I'm here. I've always done that. I've never called her. So before I leave today, when I pay, I will schedule my appointment for 5 weeks, and a lot of times it's 5 weeks to the day. It works out perfectly.
Right.
I always have my calendar with me.
And sometimes things come up, you know. I always write my appointments in pencil, so life happens, for us all. So,
does.
but if you get it on the books, the one thing you know for sure is if you start recognizing you need your hair done, it's past the point.
Yeah,
You've already needed it done.
I think so too. That is me when I come in on the 5 week mark. That's why I always say I really could bump up to every 4 weeks with as much gray as I have. But when I look at the whole calendar year, I'm like, it's going to cost me a couple extra times, and I just don't want to budget that in. So I'm still pulling 5 weeks while I can, because I know it won't hold forever.
But there's all those little, you know, like that powder. There's,
and I have a spray that I use. So yeah, there are little things to help us.
I mean, I've told people to use old mascara too if they're in a pinch around their face or in their hair. If that's all that's showing, it'll get you. It might buy you an extra week, but by not booking ahead, if you wait till you need it, then you're another week or two out. So then you go through that unpleasant, really needing it.
That's right. If you have a dense makeup brush and you use a brow powder, again, the brush has to be more of a denser one. You can take that dense brush, swirl it into your brow powder, and you literally can pull your hair up and just smudge it in there. Brow powder is for the eyebrow hair, so it's basically the same concept, and generally we are wearing a brow shadow that flatters our color. I mean, it matches our hair color.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
There's a little hack for you. We talked about another hack earlier. What was the hack that we talked about?
Washing the color off when I washed your color off.
Yes. So Laurie has a great hack to share with you if you color your hair at home. We all know that color gets deposited on around our hairline, and it can even get down here in the ear area or wherever. So Laurie, why don't you share with them what you do?
And it didn't work quite as good on Tracy because she had her mask, her little, her thing to protect. So, but if you're putting color on your hair and you have to put it on the skin just to get up close enough. So what you can do is when you're getting ready to wash it, just wet the hair a little bit, put a little bit of water in it, and then take your color and I can do it right here, like this color, and smush it into your hair. You're gonna have color all over your forehead. It's gonna look really bad, but keep washing it because color removes other colors. So once you do this, and also don't use hot water, use warm water or even cool water, but definitely not hot water. Even though it feels
you don't
good.
want to set it.
No, and it's not good for your hair and for your, but so if you do that, that's gonna that will take all that junk out of off the skin for the most part. And I do have a color removal, a little bottle of it, which I will be using on Tracy, which is Joico again. I love that because it doesn't stink like used to use these little disc pads that had remover and they were smelly and they didn't really work that well. Just put on a little makeup pad or something. And, it's nice. It works very well.
We are plugging along, getting towards the top with our balayage application.
The top sections we're actually going like a thicker, just a little bit thicker, so we're feathering it. Well, we're still,
because we're framing the face.
Right, but I'm still getting in there, just kind of feathering it to the top, so it's not really bold, streaky looking. When we wash it off, we just want it to look soft and pretty and natural, like the sun did a little something there. But then but the paddle, not everybody uses paddle either. You don't have to, but it helps you just kind of control it. The hair. So that's why I like to use the paddle, which is designed
for that purpose.
Right. So with this particular type of product, because it's thicker, I can lay it on top of the hair and it's not going to change the hair that's laying on top of. But not all products are like that. That can get really, you want to make sure that you have the right, and do not do this at home. This is definitely not a home thing you're going to try. You would be very disappointed. I know many people have sat in my chair and tried to do some things, and
Now let me ask you about aftercare. So after hair color or doing any hair coloring of any sort, whether it's just highlights, like if somebody is younger, or they're doing, a full head of color, covering gray, whatever, Do you feel that using a special shampoo and conditioner or one that is safe for color treated hair makes a difference?
I do.
You do?
I do. I think that's something that I don't think you can skimp on, and something that can get some moisture in there. I know I keep plugging the Joico, but it is.
I love Joico.
Yeah, it's the K-Pak.
Yep, and I use that, yes.
Okay, so it is really a nice product, and it just leaves your hair shiny but clean. It doesn't weigh the hair down either, and they have a more intense conditioner as well, so you could do that maybe a couple times, maybe once a week or a couple times a month.
Right.
And it won't. A lot of people worry about their hair getting weighed down from like a heavier conditioner, but it's you need to put something back in. You've taken a lot of its natural, oils and stuff out by doing this color thing. So we're just gonna put a little bit in the bang area, just so it looks soft and pretty.
So I want to talk about something that I know has been popular for, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe a couple years, I'm not really sure, and I know we have tried it once, and I'm sure this will strike some women following Olaplex.
Well, I do use Olaplex with some clients. We did it, when I first started using the product, I gave everybody a free trial to see if it really made a difference, because I didn't want to charge somebody for something I wasn't convinced really made that much of a difference. And it's a super expensive product to purchase on my behalf, so I wanted to make sure that it was worth it. So anyways, we did it, and it's never wrong to do Olaplex. I don't think, I was hesitant though, I will tell you, because I've had so much color training, and when you're mixing a product with something other than what the manufacturer says, it causes me some concern. So I'm not sure if that will change the outcome. But I have used it, and I will say that I really enjoy using it on people that have very distressed hair. Again, it wouldn't hurt. I don't believe it would hurt Tracy, but she's got such healthy, strong hair, and she takes such good care of it. But she opts out because it's the additional fee.
Yes, it might not be necessary maybe for me to spend the extra money on that, because I have such the condition of my hair is so healthy.
Right.
But if you had hair that was more damaged and really needed the extra support, you would advise me.
Right, for sure. I have some blondes. I use it on my hair every time. I have very fine hair, and it's just really helps build it stronger. I'm able to grow my hair longer than I have had it in a while, because the color was taking a lot out of it, and then and it was a different brand that I was using, but it was taking too much out of my hair. But the Olaplex has really, I feel like it's helped restore some of the health, and I love the shine that it gives. And there's 3 steps. The first step we do during the color process, the second step during the rinse off process, and then the third step you take home. And
which is what I did.
Right.
I did. And I did love the take home product. I definitely did.
Yeah, it's a nice product. There's no getting around that, but it does add expense. They suggest the charge is between $15 and $30 to have it added to your color service. And a lot of people that are doing their monthly, they just, you have to think about that.
Absolutely. And we talk all the time about budgeting. You guys know I have a budget to work with, and I'm fortunate that it isn't a necessity for me, that I can get by to opt out of doing it. Right.
But it's good, but I would strongly suggest, I've had a lot of people come to me and their hair is like breaking off on the sides, and then we'll start using Olaplex, and it helps it grow healthier and stronger, and they're able again to grow their hair longer. So it's a win. It's definitely a win. So,
great.
But I don't know what the manufacturers of the color would say. Perhaps they might not approve of that, but that's the disclaimer.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I have done hair long enough to know to be, I was cautious about it, and I think it's a win for sure with distressed hair, for sure with your really blondes that are just getting a lot of color and highlights and stuff. So there's definitely that. And this is all just to what really it's a personal preference how much they want in it. This is what we did to Tracy before, and she was happy with it. So we're not gonna.
That's perfect.
No reason to change. Right. But it's not wrong to change either. Or summer, sometimes people want to just brighten it up. Yeah, summer, spring. Spring's a nice time to brighten things up. So, but you still have all that beautiful depth in the hair, you know, so that it offers that contrast there. So there's Tracy. You know, one thing that happens a lot, I have people say, my color's not covering, and they'll come in 6 weeks and their hair grows on the average of ½ an inch per month.
Okay.
So, you know, if they come in 6 or 8 weeks, they've grown out 1 inch, and you can point to where that line is, your hair's growing out, and that's a good thing. You want your hair to continue to grow, that means you're healthy. So that is something that I think people, maybe unrealistic expectations of what color is capable of doing.
Right. Yep, it is an upkeep. So that's something good for you younger girls to be aware of. You know, coloring your hair, doing balayage, doing any sort of color, you know, adds expense, and it's a maintenance. So you are now on a maintenance program. So if you can't, if your budget is not allocate for that, it's something that you need to consider. And sometimes just enjoy what God gave you in your youth, because when you're my age, you're forced into having to color your hair. I always encourage my daughters not to color their hair. I really do. I'm like, you're gonna be spending so much money later in life. Just enjoy what you have. You have beautiful hair. And I'm not saying that they listen, but it's their call. I don't make that decision for them. I just advise them.
All right, we are back at the little sink. So Laurie, what is going on right now? I've sat for a while. You're letting some of it process longer than others, or?
Right. Well, it's just that, yeah, we're just removing the product off your hair because it's lifted to the tone we want. Tracy's not looking for a really bold, bright blonde. She just wants a little bit of softness just to warm things up a little bit. So, and in Tracy's hair, she can pull red easily, and when you're using the bleach in the hair, which this is what you use for balayage, it lifts, so it could pull some warm tones, and that's kind of nice for fall. If it's not something that she's crazy about, we can always put some type of toner. It's not always necessary. I know some people that think you always have to have a toner, and that's not true. That's if you like the color, why would you want to add one more chemical to your hair? So if we're happy with it, we didn't put anything on it the last time, and she was perfectly happy with it. So we'll see what happens when we rinse it off and start drying it.
Wonderful.
Well, there you have it, ladies. I wish I had more to offer. I have nothing cute on because I generally just wear a black top with a V-neck. We have no earrings on, and my makeup is a disaster from having the color done and all of that. But I don't even really care, and I know you don't either. I know that you are just glad for me to share all of this with you today. So once again, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Laurie, for giving us so much wonderful information on hair, just wonderful tips. We are so grateful. The nice thing is, this is not only an awesome video for you to resource back to, but it's a great video for me to resource back to myself. So thank you so much for joining me in both of these videos, and I will see you in the next video. All right, take care. Have a good one.